The room is quiet now, years later, after hours, lights half on. An evidence room that no longer expects visitors. A single shelf is pulled open, metal on metal, slow. Inside, a small cardboard box, edges softened by time, a label written in ink that has begun to fade. Someone lifts the lid, paper inside, yellowed, brittle at the corners. A cassette tape rests on top, clear plastic, handwritten numbers along the spine. The tape is placed on a desk, carefully. A recorder clicks, once. The reels begin to turn. On a nearby screen, a digital waveform appears, flat at first, then a small rise. The hum of the building fills the space. Air vents, fluorescent lights, no one speaks. This recording has been here the entire time, untouched, unquestioned. It was logged, filed, and forgotten, until now. As the tape plays, something becomes clear. Not what happened, but when. The final minutes, the order of events, the timing everyone thought they understood. This changes that. Not the case itself, not yet, but the way the last moments are heard, and eventually, the way they will be remembered. The tape keeps turning, and for the first time in decades, the past is no longer still. What we know now comes from records, not memory, not rumor. Police reports, emergency call logs, court filings, and the statements of people who were there. When those documents are placed side by side, three details remain unresolved. The first is an unfinished sentence. Mid-call, the speaker begins a thought. It is ordinary, incomplete. The sentence never ends. There's no correction, no follow-up. It simply stops. The second detail is the phone itself. After the moment everyone focuses on, the line does not disconnect. Seconds pass, then more. The call remains open, even though no one is speaking. The system keeps recording. The third detail is a sound. It comes after the point marked as impact in the logs. Not before, after. It is brief, unclear. It is not identified in the original summary, only noted as audio present. These details appear separately at first, in different documents, different times, different formats, typed reports, time-stamped logs, handwritten notes scanned into evidence. None of them explain the others. Yet they exist in the same window of minutes. This reconstruction does not rely on interpretation, only sequence. What was said, what continued, what was heard. Each detail will be addressed, in order, with the records that contain them. For now, they remain where they have always been, on the page, in the log, on the tape, waiting to be placed together. The house is quiet in the morning, not silent, just occupied by machines. A refrigerator cycles on and off. Somewhere in the background, a clock keeps time. On the kitchen counter, a mug sits untouched. The coffee inside has gone cold. A faint ring marks where it was set down. Light moves through the window, slow, uninterrupted. She was 22 years old. She worked part-time while finishing school. Her shifts changed, but her mornings did not. She woke early, left the radio low, moved through the kitchen without turning on the overhead light. People who knew her described the same thing: reliable. If she said she would be somewhere, she was there. That morning followed the pattern. Her bag rests on the back of a chair, strap half twisted, keys inside. A calendar hangs near the refrigerator. The date is circled. A note written in pen lists errands for later that day. None of them were done. The trash was not taken out. Laundry remained in the dryer. The bed was made, but only on one side. These are not clues, they are marks of routine. The kind that stop when someone does not return. By mid-morning, the sun has shifted. The light no longer reaches the counter. The mug is still there, the coffee untouched. Nothing in the room suggests urgency. No signs of struggle. No indication that this day was meant to end differently. Only that it did not finish. Her chair remains where she left it, empty. The call begins at 8:41 a.m., a standard connection. Clear line. There is breathing, close to the receiver. At 8:41:12 she speaks, a short sentence, routine. At 8:40:29 a pause, less than a second. Background noise enters the line, indistinct, not identified. At 8:41:46 she starts another sentence. It does not finish. At 8:48 there is silence. The line stays open. At 40:55 faint static becomes audible. Not constant, intermittent. At 8:43 a sound appears. Low, brief, it is not a voice. The call continues. At 8:40:15 there is breathing again. Shallow, unclear if it is intentional. At 8:40:31 the background noise changes. Something shifts. The source cannot be identified. No words are spoken. At 8:44 the line remains active. Emergency systems register the call as ongoing. At 8:43:02, another sound is captured. Short, dull, it does not repeat. At 8:43:19, silence returns. The call does not disconnect. At 8:40:47, static increases briefly, then fades. At 8:54:10, there is nothing but an open line, no movement, no speech. At 8:44:58, the system logs the call as still connected. At 8:45:36, the recording continues. This is the interval that draws attention later, not because of what is present, but because of what is missing. No explanation appears in the initial summary, no note addresses the gap. At 8:46:11, the call ends. Disconnected by the system. The duration is logged, the file is archived. For years, this minute is described in a single line. Call terminated following incident. No further detail. But within the recording, there is one element that does not align with that description. A sound captured after the moment marked as the end. It is brief, it is recorded, and it remains unclassified. That detail will return later. For now, it sits in the waveform, between silence. At first, there is no alarm. The call is logged, reviewed, filed with others from that morning. Follow-up attempts are made. Her phone is called, it rings, no answer. A second call, then a third. The line goes to voicemail. By early afternoon, the audio is reviewed again, this time more carefully. Supervisors are notified. A field unit is assigned. The shift from routine to response is recorded in timestamps. At 2:18 p.m., a patrol car is dispatched, lights on, no siren. At 2:34 p.m., the address is reached. The exterior appears unchanged. Doors closed. No visible damage. Inside, the space is still. The mug on the counter remains where it was left. The bag is on the chair. Nothing suggests departure. Additional calls are placed, no response. At 3:06 p.m., a request for assistance is logged. More units arrive. Radios crackle. Instructions repeat. Flashers reflect off nearby walls. Red, blue, footsteps move across pavement, then stop. By late afternoon, the search expands beyond the residence. Canvassing begins. Neighbors are asked routine questions. No one reports hearing anything unusual. As evening approaches, the tone shifts again. Search personnel are assigned. A perimeter is discussed. Vehicles idle along the roadside. Engines running. One detail is noted during the review. Her phone activity shows no outgoing movement after the call. No messages, no data use, but the device registers a brief connection later that day. Not a call, not a message. A background handshake with a nearby tower. It is logged, timestamped, no explanation is attached. The search continues into the night. Teams move through familiar terrain. Flashlights sweep across ground. Nothing is collected. The house remains lit. Recently occupied, unfinished. By morning, the case is no longer treated as routine. The assumption has changed. What remains is a timeline with one break in it, and a signal that does not fit. The pace slows again, not because there are answers, because caution is required. In the days following the search, one name appears in the records. Not repeatedly, not prominently. Once. The individual is documented because of proximity, not behavior. They were in the area that morning, within the same narrow window of time. This is confirmed by a time-stamped interaction. Logged. Routine. There is no allegation attached to it. The record notes a brief exchange. Location. Time. Nothing more. Investigators list the person as a person of interest, not a suspect. The distinction is explicit in the file. No arrest follows, no charge, no public identification. A short interview is conducted. Standard questions, standard answers. The account places the individual nearby, then elsewhere. The timeline does not conflict. It also does not clarify. No physical evidence links the person to the call. No forensic connection is documented. Still, the entry remains, because of when and where. The lead is neither advanced nor dismissed. It is held, reviewed again later, then set aside. The documents do not speculate. They do not assign motive. They list facts and stop. At this point, the record leaves one question open. Was this chance or was it proximity? No conclusion is drawn here. The lead remains what it was from the beginning, a shadow on the edge of the timeline. Years pass, the house continues. Dust settles along baseboards. The voicemail tone plays once, twice, unanswered. Holiday decorations are packed away in boxes. A chair remains at the table, empty. No one moves it. Framed photographs sit on shelves, unchanged. Faces frozen in time. Windows show the seasons passing. Leaves fall, snow drifts. Sunlight shifts across the floor. The family maintains routines. Meals are made, clothes folded. Nothing signals the absence except what is not returned. They check messages, check doors, check the clock. No new information arrives. Records are occasionally revisited. Nothing new is added. Nothing resolved. Objects remain where they were left. A bag on a chair, a mug on the counter, keys in a bowl. The empty chair is a measure of time, of days that continue, of plans never completed. For the family, presence is defined by absence. Every routine note, every object, every sound reminds them. No one speaks of the missing. No speeches, no dramatization. Only the stillness and the passing of years. The tape from the evidence room is reviewed. The call is played alongside the audio waveform. The unfinished sentence is audible. The faint sound after impact is confirmed. The line remained connected for several minutes. Each detail is now cross-referenced with logs, reports, and timestamps. The discovery provides clarity on sequence, not motive, not cause, but order. Investigators note that the call ends only after the background sound. The previously unexplained segment matches the timestamp of the final brief audio captured. The case file is updated. Digital records reflect the connection. Evidence is organized for ongoing review. At present, the case remains open. Authorities list the most likely theory as an accidental event. This theory is based on timing, call records, and the physical environment. It is labeled as most likely. No charges are filed. No conclusion is definitive. Investigators continue to monitor new data. Genealogy results, forensic rechecks, and witness statements remain under review. The discovery has provided partial closure. The sequence is now understood. Some answers exist, others remain. The case is neither solved nor abandoned. It continues quietly, in the records, in the recordings, and in the stillness of the empty chair. She was reliable, consistent in small ways, in the mornings, in her work, in the moments that went unnoticed. That trait remains in the record, in the objects she left behind, in the routines that continue without her. Her name appears on files, on a photograph, on a page that will not be turned again. People remember, not just what happened, but how she moved through the world, the ways she mattered. The story continues because of that memory. For those watching, for those who follow the record, to keep noticing, to keep recording, her presence remains, even in absence.